Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our devotionals. I hope you're enjoying them and getting a lot out of this book of Proverbs and just growing in wisdom as we go through it. We've got a long way to go yet, but I hope it's been a blessing so far. Like I said, commit yourself to reading each chapter a day in its entirety so you get the most out of it and you understand the context and everything else that surrounds perhaps the verses we are picking out. Okay, so I encourage you to read the whole of the chapters because there's so much wisdom in there. We can't talk about it all, but we want you to kind of be self-fed rather than spoon-fed so that you dig deeper yourself and be blessed by your own devotion and your own reading, okay? Okay, we're in Proverbs chapter 3 today, and just a summary or an overview of Proverbs chapter 3. It talks about a satisfying life, that when we obey God and store His commands in our hearts, it leads us to a satisfying life. Then it talks about us trusting in the Lord. Probably the most well-known verse from Proverbs is this verse where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That's good advice. It talks about honouring God with our finances, of giving God the very best of all that we have, and He will bless us for it, because more blessed is it to give than receive. We live in a world that is kind of very much focused on money and wealth, and we all know the saying, money makes the world go round. But for us as Christians, we have something of greater value. We need money to live and survive, but we don't want to be greedy with it. God blesses us to be a blessing to others, so let's be generous. It talks about accepting spiritual discipline. God disciplines us because He loves us. It talks about how precious and profitable wisdom is, and so we should pursue it and seek it. It talks about doing good to your neighbour and not harm. And then it finishes by telling us how a godly life is a blessed life. But the verse I want to focus on, or the two verses I want to focus on just briefly today, is verses 29 and 30, and I want to read them from a more modern translation. And it says this: why would you hold a grudge in your heart towards your neighbour who lives right next door? Why would you hold a grudge in your heart? They're the words that grabbed me as I read this passage, and I want to talk to you as we go into a new year about perhaps dealing with those things in our lives that have hindered relationships, that have broken down friendships. See, it talks about in this passage, in the Passion translation, it says, do you have a chip on your shoulder? Is that a chip on your shoulder? And that means, are you acting from a place of pride? A place of perhaps where you feel that you were the one in the right and they're the one in the wrong, and why should you apologise? Why should you make amends? And so I want to challenge you in this new year to perhaps deal with those issues of unforgiveness. Do you hold a grudge against someone? It doesn't have to be your neighbour next door. It could be another friend or a family member. Is this a new year of reconciliation for you? Because there's nothing more precious and more valuable than relationships. And we need each other, and we need people in our lives. And sometimes we are robbed of so much joy and so much happiness because of our own pride. And I'm not saying you were the one in the wrong, or maybe someone hasn't done something to hurt you. I understand that. But somebody has got to take the first step to restoring that relationship. And I know you're thinking, well, what if they don't want to know? What if they're holding a grudge as well and they don't want a reconciliation? What if they don't want to restore that relationship? Well, there's no more we can do. We can only do what is right and what God asks of us, and we can't control other people's response. And so we may choose to forgive someone, we may choose to extend an olive branch, but whether they accept it and receive it is not really our concern, as long as we've done all that we can to do what is right. The Bible tells us to live as peacemakers in this world, and so I want to encourage you to make peace. If you have a problem with someone, a grudge with someone, if you've got a broken relationship, make this year a year where that is restored, because you will be blessed for it and encouraged for it. And God loves that kind of humble spirit, that humility that says, you know what, I'll do what's right. I'll forgive. I'll show love and kindness. The world needs more of that. And so don't let unforgiveness rob you. It doesn't keep the other person prisoner, it keeps you prisoner. Grudges hurts us more than it hurts other people. So when we forgive, we don't just release the other person, we release ourselves as well. So that's my thought for you this year. Why would you hold a grudge in your heart? Because it does no good and it doesn't help anybody. So let's start the new year in the right way, forgiving and loving people and restoring relationships. Just a thought for you. Have a great day, guys. God bless.